everything feels politicized right now.
Yeah.
And so you yourself have become politicized in a way.
Little bit, yeah.
Let's go IDF.
It's so dumb. It's so dumb. These young people, they're trying to get engaged with politics. We have to just correct their aim a little bit.
Jerry Seinfeld doesn't like you, and he wants you to know it. His deep resentment towards humanity is undeniable.
Free Palestine. I don't care about Palestine. That's sad.
You support the genocide of babies in Gaza.
I'm doing this gig. I'm getting my laughs. I'm getting the money, and I'm getting the hell out of here. And when your review comes out, I'm in another city doing the same thing.
He's talking about comedy, but he sounds like a con man describing a heist to rob innocent town people. Even in Hollywood, it's incredibly rare to find a writer as arrogant and naive as Jerry Seinfeld.
Why are you talking about this? And I said, because I like to. As a stand-up comic,
Yeah.
you don't give a flying what anybody thinks of me. That's when I realized what a real comedian is. That's the answer to the question.
Because you wanted to.
Because I want to. That's why I made a Pop-Tart movie, because I want to.
His own audience is split on his work, and Jerry himself had to apologize for overly sexualizing his children's movie.
I made a cartoon movie about bees you may have watched as a child. If any of you felt slightly uncomfortable about the sexual undertones in the relationship between Barry the bee and Vanessa, the florist who saves his life, I would like to apologize for that now. I may not have calibrated that perfectly, but I would not change it.
The only person that matters to Jerry is Jerry.
You're a lone wolf. Do you agree with that?
If I wasn't, I'd have a rough go in this racket. It's a lone wolf racket, yeah. I'm only really comfortable with another stand-up comedian or alone. If you could hear the conversations that comedians have, you would feel like you took the most cleansing rain shower of your life. The residue is your comedy product and your act, and hopefully they laugh at it. They don't even realize what they're laughing at is I'm seeing into your life in a way you can't even see it, you know?
If comedians are a real thing, I think they're supposed to be repulsed by this type of self-indulgent language. The same way they're supposed to be repulsed by the idea of working with Bill Gates.
He's a 10.
10.
See how that feels. Better. That's a 10.
But not Jerry. He's happy to take his humor and his brand recognition and whatever gift he thinks he has for making people happy and use it to hawk Windows Vista or whatever bullshit he was selling. If a comedian is ever in a Verizon or AT&T ad, a series of ads getting paid $10 million to be Bill Gates' little best friend for the day, that makes them a corporate hack and untrustworthy. But okay. Maybe you love advertisements. Maybe you were in this audience when Jerry received his Ad Man of the Year award and you agree with his depressing view.
I love advertising because I love lying. Thank you and have a great evening.
Maybe Jerry really is a great ad man, but how does that make him a comedian? But okay, fine. Let's hear Jerry out. What makes a comedian great?
Okay, let's talk about comedy. Those rules are immutable. The rules of comedy are immutable. The rules are either you're funny or I'm not getting in my car to go see this. I never really grew up. I mean, you don't want to as a comedian because it's a childish pursuit. But I miss a dominant masculinity. Yeah, I get the toxic thing. I get it. But still, I like a real man.
One of these men makes Jerry sorry he ever thought he wanted to become a comedian. His obsession with this guy led him to revere him and his wonderful precision and originality. Maybe a little too much.
Dog doesn't know the difference between an hour and a half or next week. He thinks you're going to be gone forever. That's the only time period dogs really understand, forever. They must think we're going to be gone forever, otherwise why would they act the way they do when we finally get home? Oh boy, 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 I thought you were never going to come home. I thought you were never going to come home. I thought you were never going to come home. I thought you were never going to come home.
Dogs stay stupid. They grow, they get older, but they never catch on to anything. Every time you come home, he thinks it's amazing. They go through the whole routine. He's back again. It's that guy with the food and the ball. It's the guy.
No wonder he makes Jerry feel bad about his life choices. How does Jerry explain this wonderful precision?
If the American government had, I think, was a little more even-handed in Palestine and showed early or even recently that we do care about the fate of both peoples and that we have some solutions, some ideas, some concern, we may be more believable on these other things. But we don't. We take a side and we deny the whole...
Funny you say that.
No one's ever going to grow a spine for you, Jerry. Steal these Carlin bits, too.
Israeli murderers are called commandos. Arab commandos are called terrorists. Contra killers are called freedom fighters. The CIA doesn't kill anybody anymore. They neutralize people. Or they depopulate the area. The government doesn't lie, it engages in disinformation. Smug, greedy, well-fed white people have invented a language to conceal their sins. It's as simple as that.
But Jerry's just not that type of comedian.
If you spend your life in comedy and do well at it, the gift that you were given is you see through the surface of everything. Everything. Life itself.
If Jerry truly can see through everything, then he's choosing to participate in the destruction of Gaza. It would mean he's an active agent of the propaganda that's allowing the Israeli government to ethnically cleanse the population of Palestine. Or maybe he's as naive as a child. Jerry thinks that because he went on vacation to Tel Aviv, he knows what it's like to be at war.
We were having lunch one day in Tel Aviv, and there was a missile attack from Gaza. 26 missiles were fired at the city, and they were all taken out by the Iron Dome tech that they have. And everybody has to run out of the streets, and you have to get into a shelter because the metal falls from the sky.
How does that kind of shape your view on what's going on?
I grew up in the 50s and 60s, and World War II was kind of in Vietnam, and I was never in the military. And you always wonder, what's a war like? You know, we've all read about it our whole lives, all wars throughout human history. What's it really like?
Yeah.
So I know what it's like now.
You know, in a real war, you don't get up and leave and catch a flight home when you're over it, right? People at war are fully stuck, and you would think that Jerry's observational mind would understand this. He's the one that talks about how much he loves place.
I was going with you when you said how important is place, and then you added to your work.
Yes.
Take to your work off, and I think you have something.
Jerry, let me start that over again.
Yeah.
How important is place?
Hugely essential, cataclysmically relevant and potent to your psychophysical well-being and productiveness. So when you are in the place that your frequency vibration matches the frequency vibration of the place, you feel comfortable.
Society rewarded Jerry's emotional and uninformed attitude, and it's made him incredibly dark. It's why he openly admits to being racist, and it's why he cries when he thinks about Israel.
You were in Israel
Yes.
since the war started. How was that trip?
The most powerful experience of my life.
Really?
I'm sure, yeah.
Why?
You know, you just... Sorry.
One thing that I've been thinking about is how a huge part of the way you think about comedy is how the audience never lies.
Right.
But what happens if a lot of people are wrong? In other words, I don't think Jews do well in an age of mobs. And I feel that right now in our culture, it's really easy to form mobs.
Yes, really easy.
And what's the difference between the audience never lying But when does the audience kind of tip into the mob? Do you see where I'm going with that?
I do. I do.
Sensing Jerry's weakness, the interviewer uses his tears as a moment to harass him about how he can't actually trust the audience. The audience, according to Jerry, is the ultimate, really the only other test a comedian has other than his own mind. It's like, is she delusional? I'm talking to a rabid narcissist who just started crying. I'm going to tell him now maybe he should listen less to the people who care about him. I wonder which country benefits from keeping weak men like Jerry emotional and controllable.
Let's just talk politically, left and right. You're watching mobs. They're mobs. They're mobs believing their own crap, right?
Yeah.
That's politics. So we're tribal animals. We're social creatures. We look for agreement and consensus. We're driven by agreement and consensus, and mob rule gives us comfort, gives us certainty.
Yeah.
It's all BS. It's all BS.
When you believe nothing matters, it's incredibly easy to attach yourself to destruction. But it doesn't shield Jerry's soul, and we can see it in his work. Jerry is not Carlin. He's not even a comedian. He's a mummy, set loose on the innocent, motivated by his desire for an ancient order that he gets to sit on top of.
There's another element there that I think is the key element, and that is an agreed upon hierarchy, which I think is absolutely vaporized in today's moment.
Okay.
And I think that is why people lean on the horn and drive in the crazy way that they drive, because we have no sense of hierarchy. And as humans, we don't really feel comfortable like that. So that is part of what I think is, if you want to talk about nostalgia, that's part of what makes that moment attractive looking back.
He hates social progress, but deeply believes in hierarchy, as long as that hierarchy puts him near or at the top. Jerry wants there to be no space to challenge or undermine his authority. Hierarchy in nature is not the same as hierarchy in civilization. Hierarchy in society is always designed to reinforce the powerful deserve their privilege, even when that privilege is on the backs of millions of Palestinians. No wonder he loves Israel. In Israel, he sees a perfect social hierarchy of enforced supremacy obtained through violence and propaganda.
Ivy League jihadis are sort of marching through campuses in the street. You know, it's not exactly a relaxing moment.
These young people, they're trying to get engaged with politics. We have to just correct their aim a little bit. You know, they don't seem to understand that as comedians, we really don't control anything.
Right,
You know?
right.
Globally famous celebrities like him serve as ambassadors for whatever they support. That's why Bill Gates wanted him to be his little friend. That's why Dennis Rodman went to North Korea, and it was a big deal. Even though, unlike Jerry, Rodman doesn't masquerade as some serious man. It's like Queen at Sun City.
Welcome to South Africa.
Well, it's nice. It's really nice to be here in South Africa, and I just want to have a good time.
Queen got into deep shit when they chose to play Sun City in South Africa. In 1984, most musicians refused to play there in protest against the racist government of the time.
Sun City seems to...
Out of all the superstars that have come to South Africa, you probably attracted the most attention. How do you feel about this?
Oh, great. I shall tell Rod Stewart when I see him next.
Well, you sell more than Rod Stewart in South Africa. Isn't that so?
Yes, sir. It's wonderful, isn't it?
With the artistic boycott, the musicians' union certainly got very cross with them. The ANC were pretty sort of disgusted.
People on streets.
At least bands back then claimed ignorance. Jerry is part of this new breed of evil celebrities that openly support the segregation of Palestinians and the cleansing of Gaza. Go back and try to find a single celebrity who openly supported South Africa. So who exactly does Jerry think he is? He threw himself into the arena and then immediately started whining and complaining. He forgets he's been to Israel, he's funded counter-protesters, and he does straight-up propaganda for Zionism. This interview was on the official Twitter page of Israel. And what even is this interview? Where are they? It looks like they're dead, and Jerry is dead.
The other night when I saw you, you said something that made me laugh as I was thinking about it later, which is I was like, how are you? And you're like, I'm done. I'm dead. Like, you're not really even looking at a person. Like, I'm almost 70, I'm dead. But I gotta say, Jerry, you love life.
I do. I also love death. I have so much death in my act, I have to edit some of it out because it's just too much. And sadly, I never hear it anyplace else.
Never.
No. That's why they come to see a comedian. How do they know these things?
Not caring what people think about your comedy, not being able to pass the simple binary of if they enjoyed it or not at a rate more than 50%, and that's your one and only job that you condescendingly think makes you better than your audience.
I think there's something like almost genetic about comedians that make them allergic to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think it is, like, where does that come from inside of you?
If you spend your life in comedy and do well at it, the gift that you were given is you see through the surface of everything. Everything.
If Jerry does see through society, he's always been too much of a coward to let his observations correct his terrible behavior. Instead, he's rationalized his cruelty and greed. And I think he's done a pretty bad job at it.
As a man, can I say
You sure
that?
you are? Are you?
I've always wanted to be.
I didn't ask your pronouns before we
I've
began.
always wanted to be a real man. I never made it. It was JFK. It was Muhammad Ali. That's a real man. I want to be like that someday.
Why should me and other so-called Negroes go 10,000 miles away from home here in America to drop bombs and bullets on other innocent brown people who's never bothered us? And I will say directly, no, I will not go 10,000 miles to help or kill innocent people.
5 days later, Muhammad Ali, flanked by his lawyers, arrived at the old post office building in Houston. Inside, as Ali underwent his physical, he joked with his fellow recruits, demonstrating the Ali shuffle in his underwear. Then, at the induction ceremony, Ali refused to step forward when his name was called. A Navy lieutenant explained the penalty should he be found guilty of refusing induction: a $10,000 fine and up to 5 years in prison. Given another chance to step forward, Ali refused again.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Muhammad Ali has just refused to be inducted into the United States Armed Forces.
The reaction was swift and severe. Within hours, the chairman of the New York State Athletic Commission denounced his conduct as detrimental to the interests of boxing, stripping him of his license to fight in New York. Almost every other boxing commission in the United States followed suit.
Everybody knew that if he had been drafted into the Army, he would, like Joe Louis and Jack Dempsey and every other boxer, he'd give shows. He'd go and shake hands. He'd be in charge of morale. He wasn't going to be fighting the Viet Cong. And he knew that. Everybody knew that. So what he was giving up had to be for principle, couldn't be for fear.
The truth is meant to set you free. Hiding from it and assuming that it's just for the great men of the world is pathetic. That's your code word for the type of person your ego will never allow you to become. So instead, you want to hide in their shadow, enjoying the benefits of a social hierarchy while keeping your mind sheltered from how those benefits are extracted. But you can't shelter a soul, Jerry. It's not in any one place. It surrounds you. And for incoherent, tiny people like you, it drowns you in a sea of death the moment you start justifying your evil, which is constantly.
Humor, life without humor is a tough slog.
A drudge.
It's a drudge.
It's a drudge.
Wrong again, Jerry. It's the already dead mummies like you who make it a drudge.